All right, Mr. Brock, can you get those lights for us? Who wants to sign up and be a bombardier? You get to sit in a big metal airplane and drop bombs on factories. Who thinks, Mr. Ryan, that would be so cool? I'm in. I want to be a bird, and I want to lay eggs. Those weren't real eggs. You won't want those eggs scrambled. That would not be good, would it, Clara? Okay. Bombardiers, those are real live jobs. Now, bombs are a little bit more advanced today than they were back then, but that was pretty cool. Who thought the fighter plane, that fighter jet, looked sweet? Anybody think that was cool looking? They had the two little nubs coming out the end with the fan. I don't know. I think those planes are awesome looking. Anybody make model airplanes? Anybody ever do that? It's pretty cool, right? Put it all together. I'm not very good at it, but those are fun. Those are fun to do. Hey, I got some exciting news. We counted everything up the last few weeks. This is week number 5 of our series, and that means we're halfway through. Here's what I want to see. This is crazy. Mr. Brock, I don't know if what I'm about to ask for is even possible. But you know what I need? I want to see if we can get that red bar up to 200. We're at $135, which means we really only need $70 in order to take us all the way up to $200. We are raising money for the Shepherd's Closet. And if you think, Mr. Ryan, the Shepherd's Closet, what does that do? I've not been here a lot. I don't really know a lot about what the Shepherd's Closet is. Let me tell you. Miss Rachel Fuquay helps to run this organization. She shows up and she gives clothes to kids that are in what program? Foster care. Yeah, foster care. So she shows up, and she opened the doors to the Shepherd's Closet yesterday, and she said, I've got 2 hours. Wes just told me this morning. She said, I've got 2 hours, and I'm going to help kids that need it. So these kids started showing up, and a kid showed up, and she says, oh, let me see the tag on your shirt. Okay, you wear that size of clothes. And she walked them over, and they started picking out whatever clothes they wanted. They got to take them off the hanger and keep them. That's their clothes now. They got to pick it out, whatever they want, for free, because of this awesome company. So they ended up getting all the clothes they needed, and she says, you know what, God bless you guys, have a great day. And they had these beaming smiles on their faces because they've got clothes that they didn't have to pay for, they didn't have before, and somebody gave it to them. How cool is that? Then, yesterday, another person showed up. And she got to help them and give them the clothes they needed, and then another person showed up. And another, and another, and another. Do you know how many kids got clothes yesterday because of what we're trying to help? 43 children yesterday got clothes on their backs, shoes on their feet, jackets for the winter, backpacks for school. 43 children just like you got clothes because of what we're doing right here. Pretty cool, isn't it? What's awesome is if you've missed this, if we raise $200, then we've got somebody who's going to double whatever we raise. You guys want to raise $200? You think we can do it? All right, if you brought any money for the Shepherd's Closet, go ahead, bring it up. If you got anything, bring that forward. Mr. Brock's got the big red bucket. Go ahead and put that in there. Whatever you brought for the Shepherd's Closet, this is halfway through our organization. Whoa, let's go. I've got some big exciting news. All right, so Mr. Brock, if you can take that back and put that all in there, that'd be great. Anybody else? If that's it, we're so close to 200, I can feel it. We might get a little closer today. All right, he's got a good feeling. Haley, Adeline, Brock, if you guys can count that up. As soon as you have a number, shout, scream, wave at me. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Okay. All right. We got some stuff to do. Mr. Matt, would you come on up? I want to do something together. Me and Mr. Matt are going to play a quick game with you guys. Here's what I need. Mr. Matt and I are going to demonstrate a game. Mr. Matt, are you better at throwing or catching? What are you? He's better at throwing. Okay. So here's what Mr. Matt's going to do. He is going to stand over here right next to this little black podium. I'm going to go over there. It's a game we've played before. It's a carnival game. The idea is you've got to bounce a tennis ball high enough in the air that the other person can catch it. But if it's bounced too high, the other person might have it bounce out of the bucket. So I'm going to be in the bucket, and you're going to be bouncing it. And you've got to bounce it to me. I have got to stay in a blue square. After you guys see it once we have a couple of you guys, Mr. Matt's going to pick some people out to help. All right, Mr. Matt, you're going to throw. You don't actually even need the microphone. Let me get you some of these. You've got to bounce. You've got 60 seconds, and the goal is to get as many points as possible. Here's what we're going to do. If any kids can beat our score, they're all going to get candy. All right? So let's see. 60 seconds in the bucket. no. All right. All right. Oh, no, no, no. All right, all right. Oh, Mr. Matt, no. No, 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 no. No, no, no. All right, one more. All right. Let's see how many we got. We got 18 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. 10. Anybody think they can beat 10? All right, let's do this. Let's see. I want somebody who's sitting by somebody that they like. Throw your arms around each other. All right, show me your buddies, and you can do this.
You want to do it?
I only need 2 people. Some of you guys are not friends at all. All right, let's see. Grayson and Eli, come on down, guys. Come on down. Let's see how they do. How many did I get? 15? 10. 10. All right. Well, I missed 10. Oh, that's right. All right. Let's see how many they can get in the bucket. Now, you have to stay in the square. If you step out of the square, you lose. You're fired. We don't want that to happen. All right. You've got to get 10. Do you guys think they can do it? Ready, set, go. Let's see how many they get. All right, boys, cheer them on. Grayson, 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 Grayson. All right, ladies, cheer Eli. Ready? Eli, Eli. Let's go, let's go. They're doing better than we did, Mr. Matt. All right, he's out. All right. Mr. Matt, count him. We'll put him in that green bucket. That might be a little easier. Oh, we're going to have to hold the phone. Go ahead. You go ahead and count that. Is this real?
Yeah.
Is this just from today?
Yeah.
Oh, let's finish counting this. Mr. Matt, how many do they have?
Oh, they got 12.
12, all right. Grayson, Eli, great job. You guys are proud recipients of Reese's Cups. If you're allergic to peanut butter, eat it anyway. It gives you a fun, tingly feeling. Okay, don't do that. All right. Okay, guys. So, look at our offering. Look at that board. $135.43. We needed $64 and change in order to get to 200. I talked to preacher, Pastor Norris. Talked to him, told him what was going on. I told him what we wanted to do, and he said the church, Franklin Road, is going to double whatever the kids bring in. So the church is going to do that. And he said, Ryan, how much do you think those kids can raise? And I said, $200. Today, you guys brought in for our offering. We needed $65, okay? You want to know how much you brought in today? You brought in 6 cents. And, Mr. Matt, I don't even know if I can tell him. I might cry. This is pretty exciting. You brought in today to the offering $76.06. That's amazing. All right, watch this. So our offering bar just went all the way to the top and past it. So I'm going to have to redo our offering chart. So Pastor looks at me and says this, Ryan, if the kids can raise their $200, the church will double it. So that means $400. And then I said, well, Pastor, I don't know that we can raise $200 in a kids' church series. We've never done that before. He said, what if they pass $200? What do we do then? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. We've never done that before. And then he said, well, let's let's throw this out there. Ryan, if they raise $500, I'll double it. The church, Franklin Road, will double it. I didn't know if that was possible. I didn't know that we'd raise $200. But here's what we're going to do. Next week, I'm going to up it to $500. It may not be possible to reach it all. But if we reach $500, it gets doubled. And how much would that be? $1,000. Hey, I am so proud of you guys. We together have raised $200 to give kids clothes. Give yourselves a hand. That's awesome. Praise God. That's incredible. $200. That's exciting. Now, I'll tell you, it's getting cold. There are kids without jackets. We're going to need to buy them some jackets. So we'll see what we are able to do with it all. But I am so excited. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for raising that. You guys, some of you guys, look, you worked hard. Some of you have jobs. Some of you are doing some special stuff to be able to raise money. Some of you are asking. Thank you. Everything you're doing, you're going to our cause that's going to help kids be able to dress warm for winter. I'm super excited. This has been great. All right. Mr. Matt, they won that. Let's get a girl. Let's get two girls. If your buddies, just kind of show me your buddies. Just be friendly. Just kind of be friendly toward each other. Okay, let's see. What do we got here? Ariana and Paisley. All right, you guys come on up. Let's see what you guys got. We'll have you guys race. See what you can do. 60 seconds. All right. Let's see. Mr. Matt, if you find any balls go wonky, if you want to bring them back, we'll let them shoot for 60 seconds. All right. Ready. Set. Go. Take it nice and slow. Nice and slow. Good job. Good. You got this. They have not missed yet. Oh, there's one. That's okay. That's all right. That's all right. You've got 50 seconds. How many can you get in the bucket? All right. Ariana, 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 Ariana. Come on, you got this. You got it. You got it. Come on, see if you can beat 12. Beat the boys. 30 seconds. Let's cheer on Paisley. Ready? Paisley, 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 Paisley. All right, 16 seconds. Let's count it down, boys. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. All right, let's count that up. Let's see how they did. Let's see if the ladies did better than me and Mr. Matt. I almost said Miss Madison. That's not how I play, but Mr. Matt. Let's see if we won. Let's see. How do you guys feel about that? Feel good? You feel good? All right. All right. Well, let's see. As he's counting that up, that's exciting. We might come back and do that again in a minute. We are going to sing a song that you guys know. Here am I, Lord, send me. Here am I, Lord, send me. Did anybody sing this song through the week? Anybody have that song pop in their head? I have that pop in my head all the time. All right, how many did they win? There's 12? They tied the boys. Hey, do you guys like Reese's Cups? No, I don't like candy. Candy's the worst. Okay, well, your Hershey bar. When you get the Hershey bar, somebody gets the Reese's. You can trade if you need to. Everybody, please stand up. Let's sing. Here am I, Lord. Send me, Lord. I give my life to you. Here we go. Ready? Give my life to you. Take control each day. I will follow anywhere, near or far away. Here am I, Lord, send me. Here am I, Lord, send me. I will serve you faithfully. Here am I, Lord, send me. All right, let me see my mission field. Verse sounds the exact same. Let's sing it all together. Ready? Let me see my mission field. Kneel around each day. Fill my heart with Jesus' love. Use me, Lord, I pray. awesome. I love that song. It's got an awesome message to it. If you enjoyed singing with us, join us tonight. Kids Choir at 5:45. If you enjoy singing, if you like doing that all together, we learn new songs, we practice, and eventually we get to sing these in front of the church. So if you enjoy singing, or if you want to be able to get together with your friends and have a lot of fun, this is definitely something you guys want to be a part of. Kids Choir at 5:45. Mr. Matt, can you check YouTube and make sure that the sound is on? Because I don't remember if I turned my mic on. That'd be embarrassing before preaching starts. We've got 3 things that we need to do. 3 things that we need to do. We got 3 rules. I'm going to call them in kids' church. Rule number 1 is to sit down silently. That means that no matter what, you're completely silent, you're quiet, you are not moving your mouth at all. Number 2 is to sit up straight, which means your back should always be against the seat. Make sure you're sitting up straight, your posture's good. You don't want to be all hunched over when you get old. You don't want that, so stand up really, sit up really strong. And number 3 is look forward always. Every time we get together, somebody forgets about this rule, and it's not the end of the world. I have forgotten about this rule too, but you sometimes will lean over and you'll look at your friends and you'll, and then I'm preaching and I see you, and then I want to know what you're talking about, and then I get distracted, and we don't want that. So sit up straight, sit down. Oh, geez. I think I swallowed a bug. Wouldn't that be gross? Speaking of, Cora does that. She loves flies. She chases them all around the house. Hope she never catches one. That would be bad. So we've got sit up straight, sit down silently, look forward always. Let's dive in and see what's going on in the Bible. 1 Samuel. Go ahead and get your Bibles out. We're going to be all through 1 Samuel today. Chapter 10 and on. We've got some passages that we are going to cover all together. I'm excited about this. The title of our lesson today, if you're taking notes, go ahead and write our title down. We'll introduce this thought. You know better. You know better. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Miss Adeline, Miss Haley, Mr. Brock. In the back, there's a few chairs, those little tiny blue ones. Can you set out a couple of those in the back? If anybody is breaking our rules, if you're being distracted, we're going to have to sit you in the back. We don't want to do that, so if you can keep your eyes up here, that'd be great. Let's pray, ask God to help us, and we will dive into our lesson today. I've got some untold stories. I'm unlocking the vault, and I'll be showing you some pictures that I think you will like. We're going to have a lot of fun. I'm excited about this lesson. Let's pray and ask God to help us. Father, we love you, and I pray that today as we take just a moment and as we go into your word, as we think about what you've got for us, King Saul was a great guy. King Saul did a lot of really cool things for you, and as we look at Saul's life, I pray that we'll unlock some ideas about what we can be doing in our life. Saul was chosen out of the entire country of Israel to lead. I believe in this room there are going to be children that raise up, and they will be called to lead as well. Leaders in a business, in a company, in a church, in a ministry. These children, I pray that today they'll look at you and they'll say, Lord, I'm here. Use me. Do something with me. I love you, Lord. I pray that I'll be able to do justice to this passage. In your name I pray. Amen. All right, well, let's dive into our lesson today. The title of our lesson is You Know Better. Just saying those words out loud just makes me die inside. Because there have been moments that I have been up in my room playing, and I'm doing my thing. I'm on my super high-tech PlayStation 2, which is awesome. Anyway, so I'm playing my PlayStation. I'm in my room. I'm doing Legos, whatever. And I just hear, Ryan, come downstairs, please. Sometimes that just meant supper was ready. But my mom's so kind and so nice that, you can't really tell when she's mad or not. So I came downstairs and thinking, all right, supper's ready. And then mom's just kind of standing there just looking at me. Uh-oh. I can go back upstairs and play Legos. I don't like that look at all. And she goes, son, can you tell me about this? Don't fill in the blank. I have done everything. Once this happened upstairs, and this parent holds up a big, long marble object and says, can you tell me about this? It was a windowsill that was off the window. And I had to explain that I was practicing my handstands, and I kicked the windowsill and broke our windowsill. But I laid it all back together just right so nobody would ever know. Well, they found it, and I got in big trouble. And then they looked at me, and they said, why did you hide this? You know better. You know better. Or my mom, in a particular instance, is just looking at me. I come downstairs, and she goes, can you explain this? Looks over at my brother who's crying and sobbing, and I beat him up or punched him or hurt him or taken something away from him. And she goes, can you explain this? And it's like, yeah, I was a meanie head to my little brother, and there's really no excuse for that. I was just being really, really mean to him. And she will look at me and she'll say 3 words. You guys know what those words are. You know better. They'll look at you and they'll say, all right, we did not train you this way. What's the worst is when you do something out in public and then your parents are super embarrassed. Anybody ever done that? You embarrassed your parents in public? You're at a party and you throw a fit, or you're at church and you're messing around or whatever. And then your parents are around and they look at you and they go, and they're thinking in their mind, when we get home, you're not going to enjoy the conversation that we have together. That's the idea, because they're going to get you home and they're going to look at you and say, why were you messing around in church? You know better. We did not train you to do that. We didn't teach you to do it that way. You know better. Saul gets in trouble. Maybe I'm just evil, Mr. Matt. I don't know. I might be evil. I enjoy being in a room where someone else is getting in trouble and not me. I don't know if that's weird or not. There have been times that I've been in a house and I have heard in another room muffled and I can't really hear what they're saying, but I can hear their voices getting a little louder. And then there's nothing, and then I hear, and it's not a dog. And then I hear, and then I'm like, uh-oh, something's going on. And then you do this. Right, when you're in a house and you hear that, you go, kind of stretch your neck up, and you kind of turn your ear like, what is that? And you go up to the wall and put your ear on the wall and try to see what's going on. And all of a sudden, there's a very familiar crack sound. It is a nice little, and then you hear, it's the moment that someone else gets in trouble, and it wasn't you, and it's like, I'm really glad that that's them, not me. But then I get PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, and it's like, oh, I remember being on the receiving end of those spankings, and I am now very uncomfortable. Now, Saul getting in trouble, we're going to read about it. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable, but we've got some stuff that we need to learn from it. So if you've got your Bible, go to 1 Samuel. I'm going to start. There's a lot of verses. Chapter 10, Samuel anoints Saul as king. He goes up to Saul and says, Saul, you're going to be the king, my man. You're the dude. You're the guy. And he says, we're going to have a big party for you. So everybody are getting together, and they're dancing, and they got their music, and they're all partying like, we get a king, we get a king, we get a king. And they're stoked. And I mean, it is like the most amazing party Israel's ever had. And then Samuel gets up, and they're all celebrating like, whoa, let's go, we get a king. And Samuel gets up, and he goes, everybody, let's give a big round of applause for King Saul. And everybody, I mean, they're losing their minds. I mean, they're screaming, they're giving each other chest bumps and high five and knuckles, and maybe it's soldiers, or maybe they get their swords and they're beating on their shields with their swords like, oh yeah, let's go. I really don't know if they do any of those things or not, but in my mind, this is a huge celebration, and they are stoked. King Saul, come on down. Everybody, we're here for our king. Saul. You may have seen Saul. He's pretty tall. He's hard to miss. And they're looking all around. And Saul. And they're looking around. And then Samuel has to go to God and say, God, where's Saul at? And God's like, he's hiding in the stuff. So they look around, and maybe his decorations, pots, pans, kitchen stuff, I don't know. They look around, and there's Saul. And he's hugging his knees, and he's in the corner like, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to be king. There's so many people out there. I don't want to do it. And Samuel's like, dude, I just anointed you as king. Like, you have to show up and tell everybody your name. Like, hi, I'm Saul. Hello, Saul. I'm going to be your king in Israel now. Cool. Saul, you have to do that. Terrified. They finally got him. They brought him up. And Saul, when he straightened up and looked at everybody around, his head and shoulders were taller than every person in Israel. Pretty cool. Everybody's looking at their big, tall, strong king, and they're excited about what's going to happen, but Saul is a little nervous. So then Samuel says this, I want you to go home, and I want you to do this. I want you to go home, and when you go home, here's some stuff you're going to see. Number one, you're going to see a bunch of prophets, people who talk to God, God talks back, and they are going to be preaching. And when you see those guys, you're going to get off of your donkey, and you're going to start preaching with the prophets. a little weird. Sure enough, Saul's on his way home. The prophets were coming off of a mountain. As he rode past him, he saw them, and it was exactly what Samuel said. They're preaching. And then he got off of his donkey, his animal, whatever he was riding, and he started walking with them. And he started preaching along with them. And the Bible says in that moment, the Spirit of God filled Saul and made him a different man than he was before. Made him confident and stronger and better, more able to be king. I said stronger. I don't know that the Spirit changed his muscles, but inside he became a stronger person in his mind and in his heart. God changed Saul. Verse number 13. Saul reigned 1 year, and when he had reigned 2 years over Israel, he chose a bunch of guys, and he said, I want you guys to be on my side. We are going to go up, and we are going to fight the Philistines. Well, Jonathan, his son, he and Saul had a very rare item that no one else in all of Israel had. No one else in Israel had this object. Right now, I don't know if you knew this, but me and Mr. Matt talked. There's all kinds of stuff right now that you can't buy in the United States because they don't have them. Cars is one of them. It's hard to make. They have chips in cars that they can't put in. And iPads, you can't buy iPads as much as you could before. PlayStations, you can't find a PlayStation to even buy one because they're just so hard to come by. They're rare objects. In Israel, the Philistines were trying to control what was going on in Israel. And the first thing they did is the Philistines took away one object. Swords. No one in all of Israel had swords. Their army, their soldiers, they didn't have swords. Their soldiers didn't have any. Their weapons of war was taken away, and the only 2 swords in all of Israel, one was Jonathan's and the other was King Saul's. So Saul goes and trains soldiers. He says, I need people to fight the Philistines. If I'm your king, the Philistines, we're going to get them out. We're going to kick them out of Israel. That's what we're going to do. Who's with me? Who wants to fight? What do you think those people would have fought with? I want a lady. What is an object that those people, if they didn't have swords, what do you think they could have used instead of like an actual weapon? Like, don't say bow and arrow, don't say sword, don't think of a basic weapon. Think of something like crazy you'd have to use instead. Olivia, what you got? A pan. Yeah, give me that skillet. Mom, are you done with the eggs? Because I need that. I'm going to go fight with Saul. I like it. It would hurt. Have you ever been hit with a pan? Your brother or sister ever? Good. I don't think it would feel well. All right, let's get a boy. What do you think? What do you guys think? Bradley, what's a weapon a soldier could use? Back in the day, cavemen, apparently, they used big clubs made out of, like, tree branches. Hey, Junior, climb up to that tree and jump on that branch until it falls off. I've got to go fight in the war, and I need it. So Saul gets his soldiers. You know what I imagine? Pitchforks. You got to scoop hay and throw it onto a wagon or whatever. Well, I wouldn't want to get stabbed with a pitchfork. How about this? What about they used to use these big rakes. They had a blade on the end, and they'd rake things, and they'd get all this hay off, and then they'd cut it onto the ground. They could use that. So I'm thinking farming equipment. Put your hands down. It's okay. So let's say, that's all right. Oh, Logan, go ahead. So let's say, middle of all this, Saul goes up, and he says, I want you to go and get all of the weapons you can find. Get your pitchforks, get this, get that. Do whatever you can do, and I want you to go fight with me. So they get their soldiers, and they show up, and Saul brings out his nice, shiny sword, and everybody else raises up their pots and pans. All right. Wait till those Philistines get over here. We're going to take care of those guys. So he gets them all, and it says this, verse number 5. And the Philistines gathered themselves together to fight with Israel, 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and people is as many as the sand which is on the seashore in multitude. And they came up and pitched in Michmash eastward from Bethaven. So you've got your pots and your pans and you've got your farming equipment and your baseball bat if they played baseball, which we don't really think they did, but maybe. And so they're ready to go. And they're like, all right, Saul, let's go get them. And they stand on top of this hill and look down. Anybody ever been to the beach? What's that little yellow stuff? It's all over your tan stuff? Tan sand, yeah. So they had sand everywhere. Have you ever tried to count sand? No. You've probably not gotten very far because there's so much of it. They stood up, and the entire land was covered with people. These Philistines had swords and spears and bows and arrows, and they had chariots and everything. And they are like, they look down at their pan, maybe a little bit of egg still stuck on one of them, and they're thinking, We're supposed to do what with this? Let's keep reading. And when the men of Israel saw that they were in a strait, I mean, they weren't feeling so great, for the people were distressed. And then the people did hide themselves in caves, in thickets, in rocks, and in high places, and in pits. And some of the Hebrews went over Jordan into the land of Gad and Gilead. And as for Saul, he was yet in Gilgal, and all the people followed him, trembling. All right, guys, we're going to get our stuff and we're going to go fight. All right, Saul, we'll go anywhere with you, man. You are our king, and we asked for you to be our king. Let's go get him. And they stand up, and immediately one guy jumps in a pit. Thinks, I don't want them to find me. I'm going to hide. Where was Joseph thrown? I'm going to go find that pit and hide in there because I don't think anybody would have found him. And someone else said, forget that. I'm going to go climb a mountain and hide in the mountain. So he climbs up in a mountain and hides. And just waits and thinks, I really don't want anybody to find me up here. And another guy got some rocks, and they sat over at the rocks, and they're hiding behind rocks, and thinking, I really hope nobody finds me. Some guy said, hey, let's just leave the entire country, because those Philistines are going to kill us all. Pretty scary. So the people that stayed with Saul, they are following him, and everybody put your hand out right in front of you. Do you know what their hands would have looked like as they're following Saul? Just like that. I mean, they're like, put your hands down. Have you ever been so scared that you've actually been shaking and can't talk, that your voice, whatever? I remember anytime I was a kid and my dad knew a scary part of a movie was coming. I mean, Scooby-Doo's walking into the mansion, right? And Dad knows a ghost's about to pop out of somewhere. Dad always goes, and he would grab me right here underneath the arms. And he would go, nah! How do you even spell the word, nah? I don't know, but that's how he would always do that, and I would scream or shout or whatever, and I always go, Dad, why did you do that? You know what I mean? Like, you're trembling, you're scared to death, and that's what Saul's leading these guys into. Watch this. Saul tarried 7 days according to the set time that Samuel had appointed, but Samuel came not to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him. Write this down. You know better. God cares about good soldiers, not large numbers. If you're looking at this fight, and you're looking at the Philistines, you're going to say the Philistines are the ones who are going to win this thing. No doubt about it. And then you've got the Israel side, and they're like, okay, dude, you've got pitchforks. Like, you're not going to get very far in this battle. They've got bows and arrows and chariots and all kinds of stuff. There's no way that you're going to beat them. And as God's looking at these people, and as he's looking at what he's got ahead of him, he's not looking for a huge number of people. He's looking for a few good soldiers. He wants soldiers to say, God, here am I. What do you want me to do? God, I want to serve you, so put me to work. Let me do something for you. That's what God wants of us. He's looking for quality. Can I give you an example? I was a kid. I can answer your question in a minute. So I'm a kid, and I saved up money. I had a few dollars, and I wanted a prized possession. When I was a kid, I mean, these guys were my very best friends. Being homeschooled, didn't have a whole lot of interaction, so I wanted to have a toy that I could play with and have epic battles in every room of my house. My entire house became a battlefield. I needed a G.I. Joe. These guys were epic. They were ripped. They had huge arms, and you could move their arms into any fighting position. As you can see, there were guns that you could equip them with, and bullets, and grenades, and helmets, and all this stuff. It's really a glorified Barbie doll for boys, but I really wanted a G.I. Joe. That's what I wanted. I need an action fighting soldier. That's what I need. So I go to Walmart, and I'm looking around, and I do not have enough money for a G.I. Joe. I didn't have it. So I'm looking around, and my brother had a few dollars extra than I did. My brother, it's actually pretty funny. Beyblades had just came out, and they weren't popular yet. Nobody was playing with Beyblades. They were just like, why would we pay so much money for a top? Nobody understood. But my brother looked at it and thought, those are super cool. I want Beyblades. My brother bought one of the original Beyblades back in like 2003, back when they were cool and barely on their eyes. It was made out of all metal. It was this heavy duty. The thing was a tank, and nobody could beat it. My brother, by accident, bought one of the coolest toys ever that we ever owned. But meanwhile, I had a few dollars left, and I'm looking around thinking, what do I need to get? Whatever. And I started looking, and I couldn't find the exact picture of what I found, but it was a lot cheaper than a regular G.I. Joe. It looked something like that. That was not a G.I. Joe. That is called a Sassy Jackie. And if you see on the top, how much does a Sassy Jackie cost? 88 cents. Now, G.I. Joe was like $15.99. I didn't have $15.99. So I thought, I can't buy a G.I. Joe with their bow and arrows and their light-up toys and all this stuff that they had. I knew what I wanted, but I couldn't afford it, so I thought, hey, I could get like 10 Sassy Jackies. That'd be pretty cool. So I grabbed the little G.I. Joe toy, and I'm looking at him, man, it'd be fun. I mean, I could wage some epic wars. And if he doesn't turn out very good, well, nah, he'll be fine. It's like 88 cents. I can afford that. How could it be wrong for 88 cents? So I got home. I opened it all up. I ripped the guy out of the zip ties, because who has time to wait for mom to find scissors? Why can moms never find scissors? You ever wonder about it? It's like, Mom, where are the scissors? And you open the one drawer they're supposed to be in, and they're not there. So I'm waiting for Mom, so I ripped the G.I. Joe out. And as soon as I did, I'm starting to play with him. I had him running across the battlefield. And I'm so excited. And I got his gun, and I'm going, and I'm having this war. And I turned him around, and all of a sudden, his pants fell off. Sassy Jackie, you're not helping me out, man. It's wartime, soldier. Get your pants on. So I pulled his pants back up and found a belt that came with it, and the belt would not fit. The belt was too small to fit around his waist, and the little buckle wouldn't go together. I spent the rest of the day trying to get the guy's belt on so Sassy Jackie can get back into the fight. And I can't do it. And I'm yelling, medic, medic. And I couldn't get it. By medic, I meant mom. Mom, help me, please. Can you help me with my toy? And she goes, what, your 88-cent toy's not working out very well? I'm like, I know. What's wrong with that? I was thinking it was going to be a great deal. So she gives it to me and wedges it between her arm, and she starts to pull. And okay, Ryan, your toy's broke. Can't get it. Sorry, it's the way it was built. That belt won't go on. Sorry, bud. You're out. Sassy Jackie became a casualty of war. He no longer returned to the battlefield. You can't play with a soldier. His pants keep falling off. That's just not going to work. So then I have this bucket full of G.I. Joes, and every time I pull them all out, I'm like, oh, Sassy Jackie. I wasted money on you. You were worthless. The best thing I could do is pretend like I'm Sid from Toy Story and attach a rocket to you and blow you up. That's the best thing that could possibly happen with your life, and my parents won't let me do that, so you're worthless. I'm just going to throw you away. That was really sad, but watch this. God's looking for soldiers. I'm wearing these get-ups, this nice little soldier outfit, right? God's looking for soldiers. He's not just looking for people that can put on a uniform. Remember Samuel's sons? They were wicked. Remember Eli's sons? They were wicked. They looked like good people. They had the uniform. But whenever you look at these people that were actually supposed to be worth something, they were worthless and didn't contribute to the fight. God is not looking for Israel to have millions and millions of soldiers. He was just looking for some people that didn't look like that were going to be able to fight the good fight. Remember, God cares about good soldiers, not large numbers. So Samuel is waiting. He's about to come over and help Saul. Saul got a message to him. Samuel, come quick. Samuel sent the messenger back and said, I'll be there in 7 days. So Saul got up in front of Israel, and he's waiting, and he goes, okay, guys, I'm looking at the time. It should be any moment now. Samuel's right around the corner. And so they all get ready, and it's the 7th day, and they've been trembling, right? They're scared to death. And Saul says, it's okay. Samuel's going to come. He's going to offer a sacrifice to God, and we're going to be okay. Once God shows up in this thing, we're going to be saved. You realize God's the guy that parted the waters, and God has rules about what happens, and God said that the priests can offer sacrifices, and if we can get God on our team, imagine what we could accomplish. We just got to wait for Samuel. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. Day 5, if it comes and goes, and I'm Saul, I'm thinking, Samuel, the Philistines could destroy everybody. Why didn't you come a little earlier? So I'm thinking in day 6, like Amazon Prime, when you know that package you ordered. Anybody ever ordered something for themselves on Amazon Prime? Anybody? Or Amazon? A lot of you, that's so cool. Isn't it neat when you know, Mom, I want to buy this. And she says, do you have money? And you're like, yeah, I have money. And you take out like all quarters because that's all kids ever have. The coin shortage is probably up to you guys now that I'm actually thinking about that. But you get all your quarters and you count out all the money that you've got and you say, I have $15. Let me buy this on Amazon. And then you wait. And then you go, Mom, is my package here yet? Hey, Mom, can you check your app? Hey, Mom, did it ship? Hey, Mom, is it? Where is my package? Your mom can look on her phone and tell you what state your package is in as it's shipped to you. Did you know that? It's pretty cool. So on the day that it's supposed to arrive, do you know what you do? You stand with your face glued to that little window, and you're you're staring, waiting for the post office guy to show up with your Amazon box. You're so excited because the package is about to be here. And Saul keeps watching the Israelites leave. And he tarried 7 days according to the set time that Samuel had appointed. But Samuel came not to Gilgal. And Saul said, bring hither a burnt offering to me, and a peace offering. And Saul offered the burnt offerings. Was he supposed to do that? Who was supposed to offer a burnt sacrifice? Samuel, the prophet, God's man of God. But Saul did it. And it came to pass that as soon as he, Saul, had made an end of offering the burnt offering, he got all done. He washes his hands. God, this offering's for you. He killed it. He put it on the burnt thing and the sacrifice. He washes his hands. And as soon as he finished the burnt offering, Samuel came. And Saul went out to meet him that he might salute him. Have you ever got caught doing something wrong? Have your parents ever told you not to play with the blinds? My parents used to tell me that. And then my parents would see me, and I've got my little toy soldiers, and I'm going all over the blinds, and I'm doing stuff, and Dad says, son, don't play with the blinds. Yes, sir. And then I sit down in my room and just try to play on the ground, but it's just not the same. And I'm sitting with my little toy soldiers, and there's the blinds, and that would be so cool, but I can't do it. And so I'm playing my soldiers, and then I stop playing, and I just look, and I see the blinds, and then I do this. And you go over to blinds, and you're standing next to him. You don't do anything. You're not that dumb. I mean, you just kind of stand by him, and you just look at him, right? I mean, guys, you're looking at me like I've never done that. You've done that. I know you have. Maybe not with the blinds, but you know you're about to do something you're not supposed to, and you kind of stand by it, and you just kind of wait and see what's happening, and then you just kind of put one little soldier on there. And as soon as you turn around and you start playing, immediately you just hear it. It's like, I'm going to die. This is it. My life is over. And you turn around and Dad's like, son, it's not that hard. I just told you not to do that. You're in trouble. Go wait in our bathroom. I'll be there in a few minutes. It's like, oh, don't make me wait. Just make me now. Get it over with. And it's the waiting that's always so bad. It's when you get caught and you know you got caught and there's no way to talk yourself out of it. Saul got done with his sacrifice and he turned and there's Samuel. Hi, Samuel. I waited and you didn't show up. Saul, I told you I was going to be here on the seventh day. Oh, I know, but it's the seventh day and you weren't here yet, and the armies and their people are leaving. And Samuel said, what hast thou done? And Saul said, because I saw the people were scattered from me, and that they came not within the days appointed, that the Philistines gathered themselves together at Michmash, and therefore I said to the Philistines that I'll come down now upon Gilgal. I'm sorry. I just. Samuel looks at Saul and says, Saul, I'll just read it to you. Samuel says it so well. Thou hast done foolishly. Thou hast kept not the commandment of the Lord which he hath commanded thee. For now God would have established thy kingdom in Israel forever. But now thy kingdom shall not continue. And the Lord hath sought a man after his own heart. And the Lord hath commanded him to be captain over his people. Because thou hast not kept that which the Lord commanded thee. You know better. You know better. To Saul, the action of sacrificing something was really important, and he forgot about the worship. Can I tell you something? God, this is crazy. Everybody just look at me. I need to explain this. God doesn't really need you. What? God doesn't need me. But I'm really important. No, God doesn't need you. Okay, here's an example. How long did it take God to create the whole world? How many days? So, he spent 6 days creating, and 1 day he spent resting. The hardest work that has ever been done in the face of the planet Earth was done in 6 days. Everything was created. Every inch of ground was put together. The sky was created, the animals, everything. And God got done at the 6th day. Do you know what he did? I'm so tired. Oh, that was so hard. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh, man, these 6 days have been brutal. Oh, I have to just sit down. Oh, my goodness. I'm done. I'm done. Oh, the world was created and the animals and the fish in the sky and the... Oh, I need help. Oh, I know. I've got an idea. Oh, Adam, where are you? Adam, I need help. I need you to name the animals. It's too hard. Adam, I need you to come up with a word for the giraffe. Can you help me, Adam? The hippopotamus. I need help. Adam, I need you. Adam, would you please name the snake? Name it, please. No! No, our God is strong. Our God did everything in 6 days because he didn't want to do it in one. God took 6 days to do something he could have done in a moment. Instead, God said, I want to show humans how to work, and I want to show humans how to rest and take a break. And it's not because it takes me too long to do stuff. I could have snapped my fingers and created the world, and instead I'm going to show humans how to work. And watch this. Do you know what God named us? Human beings. Watch. He did not create us for what we could do. He created us for who we would become. He didn't call us human doings. I want humans to do work for me. No. He created humans to become what he wants them to be. Can I give you a story? There's a guy one day. It's a fake story. It's imaginary. Give me a fake name. What's his name? Fake story. John. Love it. Love it. The originality in this room is great. John wakes up in his cabin, middle of the woods, and he wakes up, and all of a sudden a bright light came out of nowhere, and it was an angel, and the angel said, I am sent from God. Again, fake story. This probably wouldn't happen. I'm sent from God, and here's what I want you to do. John, I need you. There's a rock right outside of your cabin. He goes, oh, I know where it's at. It's huge. She says, I want you to go to that rock. Angel, whatever. Angel says, I need you to go to the rock, and I need you to push the rock. Okay, I can push the rock. I'll give you an example. This is going to be John. John goes over and sees this huge rock, and he needs to push it. So he goes over, and he starts to push it from the top down, and he starts to push and push and push, and he can't quite get it. He spent the entire day, and he goes and pushes the rock, and he puts his shoulder on it and kind of wedges himself and tries pushing it, and he's like, all right, maybe there's something blocking the rock. I'm going to go to the other side. Goes to the other side and tries to push it just to dislodge it from where it's at. Because it's kind of, it shouldn't be that hard. Wile E. Coyote can try to throw that at Roadrunner, and he can move that pretty easily. I guess you don't watch cartoons. So he goes and he's like, I think I can move this rock. So he pushes and pushes, and he gets done. Sun sets. He goes back to his cabin and thinks, I failed God today. God told me to push the rock, and I couldn't move it. So he sat down, and he went to bed. The next day, he got up super early, and he got ready. His body's a little sore. He's not used to doing that. He goes over, and he pushes the rock even harder, as hard as he can. He's from one side to the other, and he's pushing. Spent the entire day. He couldn't get the rock loose. So he goes back to bed. He sleeps. The next day, he gets out, and he goes at it again. He spent a week pushing the rock. He wakes up in the morning. Ooh, his neck kind of hurt. Kind of puts some ice on it. He eats a cereal. He gets ready. He gets breakfast. And he goes over. He's got his packed lunch. And he goes, all right, God told me to push the rock. Today's the day. This rock's going to move. Here we go. And he started pushing the rock. And he push. Nothing happened. After a while, he got discouraged and tired. And he got back to his room. He says, I quit. Well, I told me to push the rock. And I haven't moved it yet. And it's been over a year. And every day I push the rock and nothing happens. So he goes down to bed, and in the middle of the night, Angel shows back up. John, what's the matter? Something's wrong. God told me to push the rock. He told me to. And I've been pushing the rock every single day, and it hasn't moved. What's wrong? And the angel said, watch this. Ready? Again, fake story. This didn't really happen. Please don't think it happened. Here, but watch this. Ready? Angel looks at John and says, John, God didn't tell you to move the rock. What did God tell him to do to the rock? Push on it. John, go look in the mirror. He did. He goes to the mirror and he looks and kind of wipes it off a little bit. And ooh, wow. John looked down and his arms are massive. He looks at his legs and his legs are just huge. His neck was sore because he's been pushing on that rock. His neck is muscular. The dude is just a monster-looking guy. His back muscles are all shredded and ripped. When he flexes, I mean, just the glisteningness of his muscles is just beautiful. I mean, he could win competitions. And he's looking at his body and thinking, whoa, what happened here? By you pushing on a rock, it made you strong. It pushed back on you, and it made your muscles bigger and stronger and greater. The rock that you pushed on wasn't for you to move. It was for you to be changed. God didn't want you to do something. He wanted you to become strong. Now God's going to go and move the rock. Your job was to push so that you could become somebody great. Saul would have become somebody much greater than he was if he just would have listened. His job wasn't to make a sacrifice. His job was to worship God, and he forgot that. He thought he was a human that was supposed to do something great. Instead, God wanted him to become somebody great. I've got one more point. I'm all done. Consequences are important. The end of this verse says, Saul, I wish you could have been the king forever. I wish your kids could have taken over, and that's exactly what I wanted. But because you did this, God is going to have to find a new king. And somebody in this room, spoil the story for us. Who's the next king after Saul? David. Once was a boy named David, and he is going to make an appearance really soon. Now watch this. Consequences are important. You know what the consequence is of working out every single day for a year straight? The consequence is you're going to be really, really strong. Have to be. That's the way it works. A consequence of working out is getting strong. How about the consequence of eating 3 Taco Bell meals every single day? What's the consequence of that?
Fatness.
You're going to be a little larger, not strong-wise, but the other way. It would not be good. You will become a shape, very round shape. 3 meals a day of Taco Bell. I tried that. It's not a good mentality to follow. Can I give you an example? I'm going to show you a little picture. I'm going to break open the vault a little bit. Are you ready to see a little baby Ryan? I was in 6th grade right there. 6th grade Ryan. If I was sitting in this room, that is what I would have looked like. Little baby Ryan. The sweatshirt was way too big, but I loved it, so I wore it everywhere. The pants, they didn't fit, but I liked those pants, so I wore them everywhere. Those shoes were my school shoes. I wore those because I forgot to bring anything else more comfy. Now, it's Christmas time. The guy that I've got my arm around, that's my Grandpa Boyd. Grandpa Boyd. He is just one of the most amazing guys you'd ever want to meet. Grandpa Boyd changed my life in so many different ways. He is amazing. Now, anybody remember I preached on a checker piece once? Anybody remember that? You thought it was a wooden donut. It was actually a checker piece. You remember that? Who remembers that story? I preached that 2 years ago. I preached that lesson. And the day after I preached about my Grandpa Boyd, God took him to heaven because God was really jealous that we had him on earth. So God brought him to heaven to be with him. So it's pretty cool. Didn't know it was going to work out that way, but it's pretty sweet. So my grandpa, I think of him all the time. Something he used to do a lot is he would make things out of wood. He made doll houses for my sister. He made a toy barn for me and my brother to play with. And one day, he came down from Iowa and said, Ryan, I made you something. It's in the car. Come and see what I made you. He pulled out a big blanket. It was wrapped up in something, and he uncovered it, and was inside was a polished piece of wood. I took it, and I unfolded it, and it fit together just perfect. And it became a small little wooden table with a checkerboard built into the top. It took him I could not even begin to describe how long it took. The black pieces on the checkerboard are from Africa. He actually got a purple tree that only grows in Africa shipped to him so he could cut it into boards, and then from that made small little pieces that he hand carved into the wood checker pieces. My grandpa and I sat playing checkers, and he used to do this. We used to set up those little donut-looking things, and we set them all up. That's the very first game that was ever played on that table. So here I am, I'm in high school now, and we set up the pieces, and my grandpa used to have a phrase. He said, Ryan, I think I'm just going to let you have one of my pieces. So he'd get his gnarled fingers. He had his old with arthritis, and his fingers were all real stiff, and he'd get his hand, and he'd just kind of bump the piece over. And he says, you know what? I'm going to let you have it. You guys know how to play checkers, right? If you can jump the other person's piece, you have to. It's a rule. So I took my piece and I jumped it. I'm like, ha-ha, I got your piece. I'm going to win now. And I put it down, and he'd get his hands, and his hands kind of gnarled, and he'd go and he'd pick up one of his pieces, and he'd jump me back. And then, all of a sudden, the light bulb came on, because then there was another piece right next to it. And because I moved it out of the way, he got the double jump. And he just got 2 pieces. And I only got 1 of his. That wasn't a very good trade. And I keep looking, and he kept moving. He jumped me again. 3rd piece. And then he got all the way to the back and got his piece with a king on it. Kings can move back and forth on the checkerboard. And he took his king, and he jumped me 2 more times. I am looking at my grandpa thinking, you are a wizard at checkers. This is crazy. I gave him 1 pieces, and he wiped out my entire team. I am not very good at this game. My grandpa would look at me, and he'd say, well, Ryan, I think I'm just going to give you 1 of my pieces. He'd shuffle it forward. Anytime he said that, I think, great, I'm about to lose. You can just take the pieces back. You win, whatever. When he would give you 1, the consequence was far greater than I'd ever imagined. Young person, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. So important. When we're looking at God, God's looking at our life with a checkerboard, and he's saying, look, the consequences of you moving that piece is far greater than you could imagine. When you do something, the consequence can be awesome, or in Saul's case, the consequence could be really bad. God was looking for 3 things. Good soldiers, not large numbers. He was looking for people to worship, and he's looking for people who are going to make the right choice, to have the right consequence. With everybody's head bowed and eyes closed, can you keep your back against the chair? I'm going to lead us in a time of worship. Anything that stuck out to you as we talked about the story of Saul, I want you to take a moment and just keep your eyes closed and pray. Ask God, what is it that you want me to change? What do you want me to do? What out of everything that I learned do I need to apply? Am I trying to be the best soldier I can be? Or, God, are you looking to do something completely different in me? What are you looking for? What do you want from me? What is your plan for me? I want to do something great. Do I need to become a better soldier? Am I really focused on my actions instead of about being somebody that's a good person? Am I worried about actions, or am I trying to become somebody good? Or, God, are my consequences bad? Do I need to work on that? What do you have for me? Let's pray. Ask God to help us. Father, over the children in this room, I want to pray this blessing, that they will never have to experience what Saul went through. That there won't be a point in time where they have to look at you and realize, I messed my whole life up and I lost out on the greatest thing that God ever gave me. I pray that they'll be ready to sacrifice anything that you ask them to do, but ultimately, I want them to rise up and say, God, the most important things in life is obeying you, worshiping you, and giving you what I've got. Lord, I pray that you'll do something special in me. Lord, over these children, I pray that they'll rise up and be exactly who you want them to be in this life. Please bless us. In your name I pray. Amen. Thank you so much for joining us today at FRBC Kids. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us. Tune in 11 o'clock next week. We'll see you then. You guys did great.